Hi, everybody. Give me just 1 second. Trying to get my incense lit. Incense. All right. This is the Home Light Security reading for the month of August for my Pisces signs. And I'm going to start off with the tarot. Let me see what is coming up for Pisces for this month. And then we'll get into what the astrology is saying and the other information. Let me stop right there. Because when I first pulled up, was getting ready to start the video, not pulled up. When I first was starting the video, I pulled a card already and then realized I hadn't started the video. So I started the incense, and now I'm coming back for the first 2 cards, and we'll see where it goes from there. The first thing that was coming up, it's from one of my ancient Egyptian decks, is Nut and Geb. But what this is the wholeness, creation of the sacred purpose, and the divine parents. So this is speaking to us in one sense of the oneness, the very beginning of something, the very beginning of the creation itself, the sacred purpose of yourself, and where that will take you, along with, since this is the divine parents, this is also finding the divine within you. But the card that comes out next is more or less is Alchemist. Trying to make sure that I'm leaving it for you to be able to read. It's the Wisdom Keeper, and the grand, not grandmother, but the grandmother, which would also go with Newt. All right. So this is not just your divine feminine, which is the divine creation of where you're taking life this month, but it's the new beginning. The divine beginning is in a form for you to see. Now, I know that this deck was calling me, so let's see what else they have to say. Excuse me. I've got half my cards one direction. Oop. And let me get this right, because I like to give you a little bit of an overall of what the cards have to say, what I'm picking up from spirit, and then what the astrology is. So what else does Pisces need to hear for the month of August before we get into anything else? Spirit just said feminine energy, period. Feminine energy. Gemini, which is also speaking to you about the duality, which I feel like when they said feminine energy and then I pull up the duality of Gemini, I feel like they're saying making sure that you're in balance. You're not just all in the masculine energy. You're not just all in action, aggression. You know, Gemini is kind of like Jekyll and Hyde, but the way Spirit always gives it to me is Gemini is, every sign has their good and their bad qualities. And what they're giving me, the way I'm picking this up, is it can't be all logic and it can't be all emotion. Make sure that it's an equal balance, because with them pointing out femininity, they're pointing out the imaginative, the inventive, the spiritual, the magical, the science, the creative side, and make sure that you're balancing that with your logic, meaning don't just be all wholeheartedly, this makes sense on paper, you know, and not putting any of your soulfulness into it. That's what I feel like I'm getting here, is making sure that you're getting a full balance on how you're looking at the perspectives for this month, your communication with your true self and the truth, and so forth. Let me see where else this is going. What else do you have to tell me for Pisces? Can you lift that? That's too many of like the same feeling vibration, and I'm not comfortable with that vibration. Yeah, I'm not comfortable with that either. You're gonna have to give me something to go on with that. Well, the reason why you're hearing me saying that is because they're giving me disappointment, but I don't know what they're giving me disappointment. I think it's with yourself. I think it's disappointment with your own communication with yourself. Maybe it's being too hard on yourself. Yeah, because what they're giving me for some of you is, I guess, anger. I'm getting anger or fight and flight. Disappointment. It may be that you're jumping the gun too quick. Okay, I'm not really feeling like I'm getting anything else out of here. Is there anybody else who has to speak up? Thank you. And then we'll get into the astrology itself. What does Pisces have to say? Pisces for the month of August. Pisces for the month of August. I'm feeling like for some of you, you're feeling like there's a lack of support, which is making you have worry or doubt, which is actually what's blocking some of the harmony. And like I said, they were giving you Gemini, and they gave me Gemini in the cards, but what they told me was feminine energy. So this is making sure you're having a balance. Don't block yourself just with logic. Be in your head too much. Yeah, basically is what I'm getting. Like you're being too hard on yourself. Creating more confusion or inflexibility for some of you. The next one, this is coming from my sacred geometry deck. It is divine thoughts and realization, consciousness, and emotional truths. And what have I been saying? So this is just mainly, don't be in your head and create some negative this month by overanalyzing and picking yourself apart. Honor your relationship with your earth. Yeah, so this is basically what they're giving me for with the cards and so forth. Is this is a brand new beginning. It's a brand new start. It's you're giving birth to a new beginning, a new direction. And I feel like it's definitely coming through this Lion's Gate, and the energy has been so powerful because, like I said, it's starting off with finding your inner alchemist, your inner wisdom keepers, your inner grand mother, but it's speaking to us of the sacred purpose. Gemini speaking with us with the feminine energy of making sure that we're definitely tapping into our magic, not just our logic. You have to realize that your creativity is part of what's bringing about the manifestation. And if it's in that woe is me or worry or anxiety or disappointment or inflexible fear, then it's going to create more of that. So it's saying, make sure you know where your imagination is going. Make sure you realize where you're intuitively adding that extra oomph of that magic, that creation, that seed, because the seed is what can ultimately take you everywhere you want to go or everywhere you don't. Yeah. Next one is coming up speaking about the element of water, and this is saying control your emotions. Pisces, you guys got to control your emotions this month and make sure that you are balancing them, not allowing it to be like Poseidon coming out of you, more or less. So it's making sure that you are keeping your waters not still, but flowing, ebb and flow. All right, as we get into the month, I always tell you guys that wherever the sun is technically the house that you were walking through. Now, for you guys, this would be your sixth house up until about the 22nd, and then it moves into your seventh house. And for those of you who don't understand the astrology as well, the sixth house is the daily activities. It's your daily duty. It's your people, places, and things that I always say that consume you. And whatever the people, places, and things are in these daily activities, your mundane tasks, it consumes you just as much as you consume it. So the people, places, and things have a big part to do with the manifestation that is taking place around you in your daily mundane, what you overlook. There's nothing mundane about the mundane outside of the fact it's such a repetitive thing that we don't realize how much of our manifestation and energy comes from it. Just like every day you get up and you brush your teeth, you have your breakfast, you go out to work, you do your thing, da-da-da-da-da. The repetitive part of our life, and these activities or these people, places, and things help us create the energy around us. So the mundane is one of the most powerful things. Now, before I get into going through the actual astrology itself, I'm going to read down what's going to happen throughout the month. You have the Lionsgate, which is taking place already, but its main day is considered the 8th. Then we have the full moon, which is going to be in Aquarius on the 11th. I'll address these as I come into it as we go through the chart. Venus is moving into Leo also on the same day as that full moon. Mars is moving into Gemini on the 20th. The sun enters Virgo on the 22nd, but here's a kicker. Uranus is going to go retrograde on the 24th, meaning Uranus on a universal second house, but it's in Taurus. We'll look at that when we get there. Uranus is already in shadow. That's independence, individuality, uniqueness, and freedom. So it's definitely looking things from a darker aspect. You have Mercury, which enters Libra on the 25th, and then the new moon in Virgo on the 27th. And we already discussed, and I'm going to start with your astrology in your sixth house. Because like I said, wherever the sun is technically the house that you were walking through at this time. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4. Your sixth house has Venus in it, and it has Sirius in it. So you're very sensitive right now about your daily mundane. It's very in your face and important. Your mundane, like I said, it's the people, places, and things. It's your daily activities that you think aren't really that important, but it is. Like your work friends, your jobs, the places that you are, that are part of the energy and the diet that you consume. And right now you have Venus here putting extra sensitivity. Sirius, which is putting the threefold. She speaks to you about what you nurture or what you neglect in your daily mundane tasks, your daily activities. And this is your diet, but it's also, like I said, it's the people you hang out with. Your mundane tasks are your work friends, your work, your environment. Some people's environment sometimes needs to be shifted a little bit at this time. You have Venus here bringing extra sensitivity along with Sirius bringing, are you nurturing or neglecting what is important in your daily mundane? The important part of what you overlook. And I like to put it this way. When you spend every day all of your extra free time working on, like, say you're an artist and you're working on your art, then you're putting it into your poetry, to your music, to your sports, if you're an athletic person, or are you putting all of that extra time into the bar? Okay. And I'm giving you ideas, what energies you fill yourself with on your mundane every day that you overlook. The people, these are the things that are either sensitively showing to you that is nurturing and helping you move forward in healthy ways, or it's showing you where you're neglecting things that aren't truly supporting your soul and what you want to see come from life. So take a good look at this up until the 22nd, because that sensitivity of everything that's up close and in your face, of what you do on a repetitive action, on a daily action, is telling you whether it needs to be upshifted or not, in the way of how it can help make things better for you. Plus, the sun is here, so it's illuminating what these activities are that you do on a daily basis. Now, after the 22nd, the sun will move into Virgo, which is your 7th house. And what you have here is Mercury. And so your communication in the 7th house is still going to be there until the 25th. And that's when it moves into your 8th house. So you're looking at your 7th house and your 8th house at the second half of the month. All right. Your communication in the relationships. And how are you communicating? Are you being upfront and honest? Are you learning what boundaries need to be shifted within these relationships? Because the 7th house is, your marriage, your partners, any kind of relationship that you have. But your communication will be moving into the 8th house, which is where we are learning to rebloom, rebirth, to start and begin anew within these relationships, according to the rules, the laws, the boundaries of what makes the relationships tick in healthy ways. So this is saying definitely you're seeing something within the daily routines, your daily people, places, and things, the relationships you have with them. And there's some kind of shifting that needs to take place, according to the rules, walls, and boundaries, to make sure that you're getting the you time you need. All right. And are you communicating what you need in order to get it? Or are you not? All right. Because like I said, Mercury is communication, but Mercury isn't positive or negative. It's how you choose to take it. So this is saying, like I said, with the cards in the beginning, this is asking you about Gemini, not overly logical, but not overly creative. Make sure that there's a balance here so that you're creating in healthy ways instead of in your head, whether it's illusion or delusion, whether it's good for you or bad. Okay. So it's helping you to realize something here is shifting during this month. Now, you also have the Lion's Gate, which is taking place in these energies, okay? Because the sun is in your 6th house. Then you also have, the sun is also in your 6th house. Then it's going to be moving into, Virgo. So we're not just talking, this is definitely something big. I'm trying. It's not coming out the way I'm trying to get it, but it is definitely big for you right now. Those people, places, and things that you are part of on a daily mundane task. They are part of what consume you as well as you consume it. Its energy is telling you something here is shifting. If it's shifting in a positive way, it's going to be freeing you up for more of you. More healthiness of you so that you can get back to the sacred you. If you are not getting this communication of what's coming in with this Lion's Gate, and as we pass through the Lion's Gate, come through the month, then it's going to be showing you where you're neglecting giving you that you time and that you soulfulness because of the relationships and because of the communication and where it's going to backfire. All right. And like I said, the eighth house, the sixth house has something to do with your Lionsgate energy illuminating what is nurturing you or neglecting in this way, and the proper people as well. As well as, remember, I always say that the sixth house helps us see. I keep saying eighth house because eighth house is the rules, laws, and boundaries. The sixth house is our daily activities. But when you're being pushed around by the other people in your life, manipulated, work. I'll use work as an example. The bosses always put off more on the little guy, and then the next level puts a little bit more off on that little guy, and the next puts a little bit more on that little guy, until the little guy is the one that's working and doesn't have any time for their family, doesn't have any time for anything that's important to them, while the big guys, the sharks, are out there, enjoying their summer on their boats, doing all of this because they just keep adding more to your plate. So this is part of what I'm trying to get through. Are you allowing your mundane tasks to have your plate filled with everything that you don't want to be doing? Or can you push some of that plate back up and go, no, that's your problem, your responsibility. You're not going to put that off on me, because this is saying, are you having time for your soul? Are you having time for what's really sacred and important for you? This is part of what you're learning during this Lionsgate energy. And then making sure that you set those boundaries so that you can continue to move forward in the new direction that you're supposed to be moving in. Wow, I had a hard time getting all of that out. Now, that was your 6th, 7th, and 8th house. That was walking you directly through the Lionsgate. You're also going to have the new moon at the end of the month taking place in Virgo, which is what we were talking about here. So this is all month through, coming through, of giving you a new lesson of how to create this energy so that the new month, next month, can really start redirecting you. So this is a process. This month is a month-long thing. I'm helping you to understand it's not going to happen like that. But it is for you to acknowledge it, because come the end of the month, as you set the new moon, it's directing it into, okay, I've gathered all my information. I've learned it. I've taken this step here. I've taken that step here. I've taken this step here. Then you're able to continuously put them all together and keep stepping in the direction you're supposed to be stepping in. Now, as you move into your 9th house, here is where some of your issues are. Your 9th house is your spirituality house. It's also your ethics and morals. Now, the only reason I'm saying there's an issue here is because the South Node is here. Now, this is Scorpio, which is all about transformational change. But for you, this is your spirituality, your ethics, your morals, your philosophy, your religion, your higher understanding. And the thing is, the South Node is everything you're good at, but it's not good for you. All right. So this is saying you've got to get out of your comfort zone and realize there is more than what you're seeing. Plain and simple. Because this is saying on a spiritual path, there's more to you than you're giving yourself credit for. There's more to the bigger picture than what you're fully seeing. And it's not saying that there's anything wrong with you. It's saying if you step back a moment and you give your higher self, your sacred wisdom, your inner feminine creation of source, the ability to show you the oomph that you're missing, the more that you can start to tap into. This is where we have in our minds what the society has taught us, and that what society has taught us, well, that's the way that things are, so that's the way it has to be. No, it's never the way it has to be. It's the way that we think it has to be. And it's the ideas of where we've been taught things. Like I keep saying to everybody, we're learning how to be more authentic. We're learning how to be more soulful. We're learning how to understand unconditional love. And we don't really understand all of that. We're learning how to get better at it. But when things are good, we question it. It's foreign. We're like, what? It could really be that way, and then we doubt it. That's that sick mentality of what society has taught us of what we're to think is right and wrong. And when we start stepping into our ethics and our morals, and we start broadening the picture, and we start seeing it from a bigger soulful point of view, we realize, wow, it can be good. It can be this. It's getting that ego to shut the fuck up and learning how to be more grand on the grand scale of our psychic activity, our spirituality, our soulfulness. And this is saying, get out of your way from what you've always known. Maybe do more meditation and allow yourself to realize that there is a much bigger plot and picture to everything that is you and your soulfulness, but you've got to be willing to get in touch with that and to allow it to pull you through this Lion's Gate, pull you through this full moon and new moon and redirect you, because it's saying, I bet you can't give yourself that kind of trust, that kind of belief. That's really what the South Node is saying here in that 9th house. And it's just saying there's so much more. When I use it in a rune, I often explain it this way. Also, one of the runes I explain is like, so say there's a picture on the wall and I tell you to look at that wall. And so most people will look at the picture that's on the wall. And I'm like, nah, I didn't tell you to look at the picture on the wall. I told you to look at the wall. Most human beings are going to go, so that's a picture. It looks like this. It means that. Might tell you a little bit about the frame. But are you noticing where the wall's dingy? Are you noticing where there's spider webs on the wall? Are you noticing where maybe it needs some paint? Are you noticing the size of the picture and how much wall is left? This is what I'm talking about. The bigger perspective, getting into your ethics, your morals, your spiritual learning, your higher ascension. Don't just look at the picture on the wall. Look at the wall. All right. Now, let me pull this back up. Your 10th house doesn't have anything in it. So this doesn't have anything specifically going for you or against you. Now, when you get into your 11th house, this is where this is Capricorn energy, and you have Pluto, which is in retrograde. Now, Pluto's been in your sign for a long ass time. All right. But Pluto is at the end, and it only has 2 more years or a year and a half left here. Pluto is at, what the fuck? I'm trying to make you learn in that 11th house. Very similar to what's going on in your 6th house right now. It's going, your soul self has to come clean. Your soul self needs to come out and have the world see exactly who and what glorious, beautiful thing you are, but it can't come out until you start believing in you. And this is saying, in order for you to believe fully in you and to bring that breath of soulfulness out for the world to see, this is saying, I'm sorry to put it that way, but the 11th house is the people, places, and things as well. It's the committees, the groups, the memberships that you have. Do they support the goals, the dreams, the ambitions, or are they manipulating for their own goals, dreams, and ambitions? They should be equally patting you on your back as well as telling you, hey, Hey, this is where you're not seeing yourself, honestly. And it should be an even ebb and flow. So this is saying in that outer world and the dreams, the goals, the ambitions, are you stepping into, what I was just talking about, the full wall or just the picture on the wall? Are you igniting the flame of yourself in just the idea of the image that's on the wall or the whole damn wall? And are you surrounded by people who see the igniting of the flame of you coming up? Or are they actually kind of trying to put out your fire? Not because they don't love you, maybe, but because they love themselves and they're only thinking of themselves. But this means that you guys are on different vibrations, that you're not in sync. So this is saying for you to pay very good attention to if it's helping you illuminate yourself, get back to your true source and your inner wisdom that comes from that source. And that's not just this month, that's like for the next year, maybe even 2 years. Okay. Now, as you get into your 11th house, your 12th house, this is Saturn again, your rules, walls, and boundaries, which is also in retrograde, saying it's time to take a chance. It's time to try something new. It's time to realize that the 12th house is grief, sorrow, shame, blame, and insecurities, where we lie to ourselves, where we hold on to the ideas that society has taught us, told ourselves that it's going to be okay when really it's not. And where we just keep not healing. We keep doing the same cycle. Okay, so this is saying all the way around, there are some boundaries, some movements that have to happen here for you to find yourself, locate yourself, bring yourself fully out into the light for yourself to see, not just us, for yourself to see. Because once you could start finding these aspects of yourself, and you illuminate them and bring them into the light, that everybody's going to have to see that. But it's going to have to start with you getting to know what parts you're illuminating that you haven't healed. And that's forcing those rules, walls, and boundaries to take place so that it's able to make those situations. I am seeing this all over the board in your relationships, whether they're very close, like up close and personal relationships, or just like work friend relationships, committees, groups that you are a part of. But there are things that you definitely are having to shift to find that inner sacredness and allow it to be breathed into life. Definitely. Now, your first house, because you guys are Pisces, you have Neptune, which is your ruler. It's in retrograde here. Now, this is your character. Now, Neptune is magic, but it's also illusion and delusion. So this is asking you, again, this is all straight up asking you about your character, about just how much you're connecting with your soul self and what parts of your soul self you're in denial over. What parts of your soul self and the way you choose to view the world around you, your reality. Are you still viewing from a 3-dimensional point of view, from what the 3D has taught you, from the insecurity that's become secure? Because that's all you know. And not just you, everybody. All of us have insecurities that we're more comfortable with because that's what we've been taught. And it's learning to step outside of that and go, wow, there's so much more. So this is asking you to breathe magic into you, or just continue to breathe in the same life you've always had. Either way. But the only way things are going to change is to breathe in that boost of belief and changing from a 3-dimensional point of view, from how your eyes is viewing the world into how you want to see the world. and learning how to do it in that aspect. Now, your second house here is Aries. Now, this is where the question comes in and where you may be having a problem. Aries is in retrograde pretty much until the end of the month. Not the month, end of the year. It has Eris, which is when I always talk to about Medusa, trouble, toil, strife, the goddess of strife. It is Chiron, the wounded healer. Jupiter, up until like November, he's in Aries, and all three of them are in retrograde. So this, and Aries is the universal first house, but for you, it's your second house, which is your self-worth, your self-value, your self-esteem, which is how you create and spend your money, which is where your belief system is of yourself versus the way that you're feeling about yourself, which then is your money house, which then is how your manifestation grows. And with everybody in retrograde, this is definitely going, stop pointing the fingers outwardly, period. Stop pointing the fingers outwardly, because Eris is trouble, toil, strife. She's got vampire syndrome, sucking her teeth on everything that she still wants to point the flame at and go, I can't change because of this, and I can't get better because of that. And this is the problem that's keeping me from being this. And that's all that is pointing the finger. I said a couple of months ago that I kept getting shown that commercial of Medusa where she's got those sunglasses on and she's like, I beat everybody. I learned how to turn off those powers so I can not have to be part of that vibration. That's what this is. This is asking you to step into your power, not into that ego of, let me point the fingers outwardly. And this is why I can't get better, because Jupiter in retrograde will give you that. Will give you everything that will keep you from growing. And then come November, whoop your ass because you believed it. So this is saying, no more pointing outwardly. Create from your soul. Believe a new beginning. Breathe life into it by acknowledging every place that you have a problem doing it, because that's how you shift it. And then working soulfully for you so that you don't have this problem come the end of the year and have to backtrack twice as hard. All right. Now, your third house is where Uranus is going to go retrograde at the end of the month. Uranus is not very powerful in Taurus. On a universal scale, your second house. But for you, it's your third house. Now, this is getting double time into your self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. And the reason I say that is because for you, that's Aries. But on a universal scale, that's Taurus. And Taurus is still going to have that energy right now with Uranus, independence, individuality, uniqueness, freedom, in retrograde, going, if I can't get what I need, well, then I'll push to receive. I'll force it. But you won't. That's actually showing where you're not in your power, where you're afraid, and where you're having to push to receive, is going to keep you from actually moving forward. It's just another Eris energy of going, fine, I'll be that way, but it's not showing a growth. It's showing where you're creating it again. You have Uranus here with Mars up until the 20th. Mars is here. This is speaking about communicating from the soul, not from aggression, because this is where you're feeling like you're not being heard. This is where you're feeling like you're only seen in a darker aspect. But that's the retrograde of Uranus. That's the shadow and Uranus retrograde coming in, going, the only one who's truly thinking this and bringing into reality is you. It's in your head. It's that shadow energy of not feeling secure, not feeling in your power, where you're questioning your independence, your individuality, your uniqueness, your freedom, and where you're feeling that someone else is trying to take it away from you. And that is how Uranus acts here. If you're not in your power, someone or something else will be. So all of these energies of where you're feeling pushed against the wall is showing you where you're giving it away and showing you how to stop giving it away, but not by being push and shove, because that's showing that you haven't actually mustered that power, mustered that soulfulness, mustered that I'm in 5D. I can be in higher. I'm of energy. I am of source. So you guys can think whatever you want. That's still holding on to that three-dimensional, I have to push to receive. And this is saying, like I said, this all for you is really getting into stop looking at the picture on the wall of you and look at the entire wall of you. And start kindling its energy. Start allowing it to be brought into flames. Brought into its cleansing. Its purity. It's eternal. Because there's pieces, like I said, of the wall that we tend to not look at. And they get ignored. And that's where the healing isn't taking place, because the communication isn't getting to those aspects. So this is asking you to stretch your wings, your heart, into all aspects of you and your communication. Find that self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. Bring that power back and illuminate it. It's all about making sure you're setting the right boundaries to get through to these energies. Now, Gemini, Mars is going to move into Gemini after the 20th. And that's your 4th house. So this is after the 20th, you may start to feel a little bit more of secure. A little bit more of, okay, I feel like I can take action. Because that's the warrior in the house of the home. That's the warrior coming back to, all right. It's the warrior, you're coming back into your soul self energy. The home can't be taken away. The vessel is where the soul resides. You can't lose it. But you can misplace it. But see, the thing is, your cards were telling you Gemini and feminine. So this is saying when you get to this to Mars moving into your 4th house after the 20th, don't get extra push and shove. You may feel more in your power, but that will not be power. That will be actually showing where you've been pushed to a point of fear and then push and shove. Because that is not securing your 3-dimensional home. That is showing you where the 3D is still playing with you by making you question your inner emotional security. If you're coming into your inner emotional security, your Mars is going to ignite and you're going to know it may not look right on paper. It may not look right in this way, but you know what? Soulfully, I know I got this. So fuck it. Don't worry about it. I got this. And that's the difference. When you have that belief, you have that vibration, you have that positivity versus, and then you're pushing to get, but you're not going to get because the energy won't be matching. All right. And your 5th house is Cancer. And this is your creativity. But what is in Cancer is still Lilith. And Lilith is not strong here. Lilith is very submissive here. So this is saying, this whole month is saying, believe in you. Stop giving your power away. Stop doubting yourself. Stop being submissive. And start believing and pulling all of your energies back into you, because you have something beautiful to explode into. But you have to believe it. I love you guys. Bye. Hey.